Hello, hello. Greetings, everyone. I'm hoping you can all hear me, and I'm seeing faces appearing from
Hello,
all over the world. Good to see you all. Welcome.
hello.
And I'd like to welcome you all to this session of Youth for Sustainability Dialogues. If you're just joining us, you haven't missed anything. So that's the good
Hello,
news.
hello.
And hi. So, of course, as always with these kind of events, camera on is a good thing, but audio on, not necessarily. So if you could mute yourself, or if we can help you by muting you, we will. But the idea here is, of course, that in this session, we'll be hearing from several people, and you will also have a chance to have dialogue with them. My name is Mark Fonseca Rendeiro. Mark is perhaps the easy version of that. And I do want to welcome you on behalf of the organizing partners, Connecting Dreams Foundation, Global Network for Sustainable Development, MasterPeace Foundation, and Helping Hand International. Thanks for joining us today. I'm watching everybody coming in. I hope you're all doing well. It's Friday. People say that by Friday, with all the Zoom meetings and whatever video system you're using, that you're tired, you're exhausted. Maybe it's Friday night where you are. Maybe it's Friday morning. Either way, you could be tired. I mean, there's no telling on a Friday. It's just a tired day. But at the same time, Friday has always had that tradition, right, of Friday night, or Fridays is sort of the end of the week. So I think we have that energy that we can tap into as well. I'd like to, before everything starts, I want to thank the core team of Y4SD, Art Boss, he's here, Dr. Amit Teteja, Dr. Sapna Narula, Maria Zacharias, Dr. Simi Mishra, Dr. Ashima Mathur, Ketki Mathur, Priya Gul, Vasu, and Vaibhav. All have helped us put these sessions together, and therefore I wanted to mention them in the beginning. This is the opposite of a film where I put the credits in the beginning because they deserve credit. Quick introduction of Youth for Sustainability Dialogues. Wave your hand if it's your first time. Right. Okay. Well, these sessions are meant to provide a platform for young people to globally be able to present their thoughts, present projects, ideas on how to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, which are what? A better world, right? So this is a chance to express that in a forum where a lot of friendly faces show up. We organize one live session every 2 weeks discussing a particular set of SDGs. This week, we're focusing on SDG 5, that's gender equality. Now, as always, I also want to mention there's a quiz that will accompany this session, but don't worry, you won't necessarily be graded, but you could win something. So it's only positive. If you don't do well on the quiz, nobody will know. But if you win, somebody may know because there's a prize involved. Now to the stuff you're all here for, the session itself. First up, in the role of expert, who will share with us and also be able to ask questions as we go from our panelists, we have the honor of having co-founder and academic head at STEM and Space, Dr. Mila Mitra. Good evening, Dr. Mila. Hello. Glad to have you.
Hello. Nice to be here. Looking
and I
forward.
see that you're in space as we speak.
Yeah, I'm in space. Yeah.
Right. I went for theater setting, but you went
right.
more galactical.
Right.
I also want to mention we have our wonderful panel. I'll introduce them all in one go. You'll be so overwhelmed, but then we'll just start with the first panelists. So from Girl Up Chhattisgarh, Simran and Gurneet Kaur. Hi, wave your hand. From Girl Up Aadya, Devanshi, Katyal, and Sunidhi Chaudhary. So waving. We also have one of the founders of Heart of Code in Berlin. Leli Schiestl is here. Leli, I worked on my pronunciation of your last name. And the founder of Bachchao project, Chinmayi SK, joins us, I think from Bangalore, but you never know. No matter what is happening in the world, Chinmayi could be anywhere. And I want to welcome the whole panel. So let's just, whatever you do in applause version in Zoom, you move, I think. So in keeping with our format, we're going to hear from the panels on each project. After they have presented, Dr. Mitra may ask a question, but we'll move to the next presentation. We're here for an hour. After all 4 projects are done, we will hear from Dr. Mitra, and from there, questions from the audience, time permitting, all right? So, very glad to have you all with us. Without further ado, I'll do what many men should do in these situations in this world, get out of the way. Without further ado, I pass it to Simran and Gurneet.
Thank you. I'll just present my screen here. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Simran Kaur, and my personal pronouns are she and her. So I'm the co-president of Girl Up Chhattisgarh, which is a Girl Up chapter based out of Chhattisgarh. We started back in May 2020, and ever since then, we have been working towards bringing out the best in women and girls across the country. It's a pleasure to be here on this day to discuss about STEM and why it's so important for girls to engage in it from a very young age. I am with my co-president Gurneet Kaur today, who together with me will be presenting the project that we did in October last year.
Hi everyone, I'm Gurneet Kaur. My personal pronouns are she and her, and I'm currently pursuing MBA from IIM Amritsar. It is an honor to be present here with you all, and thank you for giving us this opportunity. Let me start off with a brief description about our club and the activities we have undertaken until now. Girl Up Chhattisgarh is a student-led voluntary club under Girl Up campaign. We started back in May 2020, and ever since then, we have been working towards community development and advocacy. We are a team of 30 dedicated individuals based out of Chhattisgarh, India. We at Girl Up Chhattisgarh are actively involved in our Girl Up community, collaborating with other NGOs and clubs to take our vision forward. So far, we have conducted various activities such as menstrual hygiene campaign, STEM campaign, webinar session, sensitization workshops, and food drives to help and educate the underprivileged sections of our society. Now Simran will take this forward from here.
How did the idea of doing a social campaign for STEM came forward? So I think when we try to picture a mathematician and scientist, we mostly picture socially awkward men who wear glasses. This was the picture that I held for a very long time. So even when I consistently proved that I was brilliant in mathematics, and a lot of my friends and classmates and teachers would back me up on that, I never thought that I could pursue a successful career in this field. Therefore, I went with arts. Even though I have no regrets whatsoever, we wanted that no other girl should feel this way and doubt herself the way that I did. As we all know that the percentage of women in STEM is significantly low, even though there's a marked rise of female students in the country, stereotypes and bias towards the female gender abound. Statistically, women constitute merely 14% of the total 180,000 scientists, engineers, and technologists in research development institutions in India, and they're also very underrepresented. So in view of the statistics and the general stereotypes that exist around STEM in regards to gender, we attempted to present our audience with a fresh perspective on the same. So we held a social media campaign for a month celebrating women in STEM. We used our social media handles, Instagram, LinkedIn, to spread awareness about the challenges that women face and their achievements as well, which is UNESCO's one of the 3 objectives in this area. Our objective was to alleviate the inherent stereotypical behavior that most of us find ourselves engaging in, so as to have an open-minded and inclusive attitude instead. So we organized a STEM competition for kids to instill in them confidence about the abilities that would lead them to pursue a career in STEM if they so wish to do. This is a preview of the PDF that was circulated. It included a total of 30 STEM activities that can be conducted with little to no supervision. Also explaining the science behind every experiment or activity in order for them to know or identify cause and effect. In this slide, we see some of the projects done by the school-going children, and the youngest participant that we had was only 4 years old. Additionally, we were able to reach out to some of the most amazing women, such as Dr. Stephanie Ambrose, who's a medical professional in Pfizer, based in Singapore. Jai Singhani, who's an assistant professor at the University of Northern Iowa. Aparna J. Ramani, who works as a senior consultant in IQVIA for Asia Pacific region, and many more who were kind enough for a brief recorded interview, which went up on our Instagram page. The idea was to create a role model intervention wherein not only role models and mentors help broaden the perspectives of who can work in the STEM field, they also expand perceptions of the potential that the girls hold. It is reasonable to expect that girls are more motivated in terms of expectation and enjoyment, importance to engage in subjects related with STEM fields such as math after watching and interacting with female role models in STEM than before doing so. So often, media also plays a major role in shaping the way that we think about gender, women, and the gender roles. Gender stereotypes portrayed in the media are internalized by children and adults and affect the way that they see themselves and others. Stereotype threat, the mere perception that a group one belongs to is not good at a task, has also been linked to lower academic performance. So when girls become aware through both subtle and overt cultural messages about male superiority in math, it makes each encounter with math and technology more fraught, triggering self-doubt in even the most studious young girls. So by harnessing the power of social media, we wanted to change the narrative and represent women doing exceptional in their chosen STEM field.
We had been planning this campaign for several weeks. After having kicked off with a social media post, we realized that in order to reach to a larger audience and make really really meaningful impact, collaboration with like-minded organization is the key. Also, reaching out to schools and collaborating with them will bring more participation from students who are still deciding what they want to pursue as a career. In future, we want to hold similar advocacy campaigns in order for people to subconsciously do away with the narrow prejudice against women working in STEM. Additionally, we would like to host workshops in the field of design, coding, and arts, this time reaching out to more girls in order to achieve our objective of degendering STEM. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Simran and Gurneet. Of course, at this time, what we can do is hear a little bit if Dr. Mila wants to intervene, optional. And of course, in the chat, people are also encouraged to write your questions. We'll hold on to them. Dr. Mila?
Yeah, thank you. That was a very nice presentation. It was great seeing that you did work, to encourage women in so many different fields. And of course, you focused on your STEM endeavors today. So I saw that you did a social media campaign where you at least highlighted some activities that were for primary and middle school girls. Did you also do some activity to promote STEM in high school or college students? Because that's where we end up losing a lot of girls or women at that point.
Thank you for your question. We actually just targeted school-going children for now because they are deciding what they want to pursue as a career. Because in India, not many choose STEM as a field or science, maths. So we just focus on school-going children, but we plan on expanding our area of reach and also focus on college students. You're right, because they drop out after like in their college career. Yeah. So in future, we'll be taking up more workshops and advocacy campaigns targeting college communities as well.
Right. And through social media, do you feel that it was a good medium and you were able to target different schools and school-going kids?
Not really, because not many school-going children are on Instagram or social media. They don't use social media. So that is what we took away from this campaign, that we need to collaborate with children face-to-face and do on-ground activities, more collaborate with schools and go to them and just have a word with teachers as well, because there are many stakeholders involved and how the cultural message is put out. Like the parents and teachers, they all have a role to play in affirming or challenging the bias that we hold against or for women in STEM. So it's important that we have a direct conversation with them and also start conversations around our own houses. So if we want to pursue something in STEM field, then we should always go for it.
Right. Yeah. That's all from my side. And I think those are good ways to take this forward. So all the best.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So in continuing with our program for today, I'm going to hand it over now to Girl Up Aadya, Devanshi, Sunidhi. Take it away.
Hi, thank you so much, Mark. So it's such an honor to be here today. My name is Sunidhi Chaudhary. I am the founding president of Girl Up Aadya, and I'm currently a second year undergraduate of Electronics and Communication Engineering at Indira Gandhi Delhi Technical University in New Delhi. I'll just share my screen. Please give me a minute till then Devanshi can introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Devanshi Katyal, and I'm the Vice President of Girl Up Aadya. I'm doing my Electronics and Communication Engineering from IGDTUW. So I want to share my STEM journey. So while I was growing up, I was not aware of passion for technology. And up till 10th standard, I used to think that sciences are difficult and I would never be able to excel in this field. I remember seeing boys in middle school invested in computers and used to think that it was something completely out of my scope. But for some reason, I used to think that it was something that girls could not do as effortlessly as boys. Fortunately, my dad believed in me and encouraged me to take up sciences. I slowly and gradually started developing my interest, and also my class in 11th and 12th had more girls than boys, which was very encouraging because the STEM is usually a male dominated field. My interest in this field developed, and I went on to saw many seniors of mine excelling and leaving their mark in the STEM field. This inspired me to work hard and achieve my dreams. I know many young girls have similar thoughts like I used to have in school and are hesitant to take STEM as a career. When we started Girl Up Aadya, we wished to change this notion and we wanted to create a conducive environment for girls and give them a platform to find their passion in STEM and grow. We wish to provide a support system to girls around us wherein they believe they can achieve anything they want.
So my story was a little different compared to that of Devanshi's. I was actually the only girl who took computer science in a class of 50 plus boys in high school. So when I often participated in coding competitions, I felt left out because the boys often paired up amongst themselves. And my teacher also felt that I was probably a better candidate for, say, dramatics or debate events. So I often felt that, I was subjected to a different standard, and all of these experiences made us feel the need to establish this club in our college. So, being advocates of STEM, we were inspired to establish this college and take our ideas forward. So, one may say that it was a stroke of luck or a manifestation of age-old calling, but we successfully established this club called Girl Up Aadya, and it was the first Girl Up club institutionalized in an all-girls technical university in India. So entrepreneurship is obviously a very important skill that needs to be cultivated in young girls, and recognizing the need for this, we conducted this very interactive session with Miss Anubha Manishwaran, who is the founder of the Girl Script Foundation, where she focused upon career building and having a startup. So she spoke about her journey and her contributions to the fields of education, technology, and entrepreneurship. She also spoke about the challenges that women face along the way and patiently quelled all the doubts that people often face while venturing into these unknown and very intimidating arenas. Overall, it was a highly enriching talk, and everyone who was in attendance had a very insightful experience. We conducted this in partnership with 4 different engineering colleges in India, namely IIIT Delhi, Delhi Technical University, and Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology. We had a crowd of over 100 members in our event, and it was a delight to have all of them here with us, seeing that how interested people are in today's world in learning more about women in technology and entrepreneurship.
So moving on to the next session that we organized. So in today's day and age, career advancement is largely guided by the art of networking, as we all know. So a session was organized by Shubhangi Gupta, who is a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador and also the President of Technical and Literary Society of IGDTU. So she talked about the skills needed to market ourselves and also to establish a strong LinkedIn presence. Tips were shared to how to make a resume stand out and also pass the recruiter's test. It was a very interactive session which left us all enlightened and with a clear sense of direction. Over 60 people joined this session and benefited from it.
So being a club that had started or been conceived in the wake of COVID-19, it was difficult for us to reach out to people. And our main medium of communication was our Instagram page. Now, with our team of insightful writers and creative graphic designers, our page has been a platform for us to share about a plethora of topics. We put up several posts regarding scholarships that are available to women in technology, which can help them be uplifted. Now, every month our posts focusing on different issues such as the LGBTQ community, sexual assault awareness month, and juvenile arthritis spreads were actively shared through our page. We also used this space to talk about women who have braved the ravages of patriarchy and have created a niche for themselves in the field of technology. So, inspiration, reflection, and the celebration of women's spirit is and continues to be the core ideology of Girl Up Aadya.
So we understand the numerous hurdles women face on in their artist journey to get recognition and even equal resource allocation in this male-dominated tech sphere. To show our solidarity for young girls whose curiosity is piqued by STEM, we plan to use our medium to make an impact in their lives. We plan to start a campaign to distribute science kits in schools as soon as the offline classes resume. As engineering graduates of the first ever Girl Up in an all-girls technical university, the members of this club recognize the responsibility that we have to empower those who envision a similar career for themselves. So, in accordance with the cruciality of having strong coding skills in the software industry, we have also conceptualized the conduction of classes on basic programming for middle school children. At Girl Up Aadya, we strongly believe in doing everything in our power to make girls untap their true potential and make their dreams seem as achievable and as worthy as of their male counterparts. We have also started a project called Project Inara, which focuses on women in STEM, and this will be started in the May of March and April. So thank you so much for being here with us, and this was Girl Up Aadya.
Wow, thank you so much. That was great to listen to and so much to learn about. I think everybody's also taking it in. You can tell also in the chat because people are very focused on what's going on the screen. As always, I'll pass it to Dr. Mila. Reflections, questions?
Yeah, I think that was really insightful. And you both stand at a very interesting place because you are in STEM and in technology, but in an all women's college. So, it's the perfect place where you can support and inspire women. So I see a lot of your things, and I was quite impressed with your Instagram pictures that you put up, because I know that nowadays that's a really good way to reach out to women. And also I see that you did make a lot of efforts in career kind of training. So my only question would be again that, do you feel that because it's an all women's college that the women are kind of sheltered or in a wall where they're not actually getting to face the rigorous challenge or the the concept that they will face of being of competing with men in the same field? Or are you getting opportunities to do that even from where you are? Because what I mean is, when you go to careers, obviously women will you both know it as well as I do, that we will face unfair challenges, unfair behavior, probably get paid less to do as much or double the work. So are you somehow training women to face all these kind of things, or because you're in a women's college they are kind of protected from all these things that they will face in their careers later?
Okay, thank you, ma'am, for the question. So I think, in careers like these that depend a lot, that have usually been dominated by males in the past, the foundation with which we start is going to be very important. So since we're in an environment where it's all girls, and we're just competing against each other and also encouraging each other, we find motivation in each other. On the other hand, we've seen a lot of our counterparts in different colleges where they have a class ratio approximately 5 in a class of 90 boys. So a lot of times they get discouraged when when not really plays the same platform, because it has been traditionally there that boys tend to believe that they're better at certain skills, you know, when they're concerned with, say, technology or coding or mathematics.
And that's exactly what I'm saying, that they'll have to face when they go into careers, because men will have the same attitude.
You know, in this college and the kind of environment that we're trying to create for them in this university is such that, you know, motivates them to stay in the field. I think that's also very important, because I've seen a lot of my friends in other colleges actually drop out their ideas of becoming software engineers because they did not find the right environment in college. So I think that is one thing that has really helped me and a lot of my friends here. I think Devanshi would like to add on something.
Yeah, thank you, Sunidhi, and thank you, ma'am, for your question. And I totally believe that I personally think that coming in this college and seeing my seniors work in major companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, it was like a new world opened for me. Like, as we know, STEM industry is a male dominated, but seeing my seniors getting to work in those big tech giants, and not even that, now it's not just about the placements. I've seen my seniors winning Smart India Hackathon, which is one of the major hackathons in the country. So that really inspired us that, okay, so if our seniors can do that, why not us? And also, it is not making a shell, it's like providing, what do you say, a head start for us, because we are actually learning to have confidence in ourselves from this point itself. We are not being, like being oppressed, or we are given all the opportunities that are given in a normal college, and it's all actually very encouraging for us, and we are gaining a lot of confidence in ourselves, and we are learning a lot of skills every single day.
Also, there's this you know, kind of pleasure that we get when we're participating in these competitions outside of college, and we're usually an all girls team, and when we win against boys from different colleges, it's actually very encouraging. So I think it works both ways, even though we might not be getting the exposure of working with both the genders at this time. But I think that we're at least laying a very strong foundation for us to, you know, retain a large number of women in technology.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see that you all support each other and, you know, provide the inspiration and the support needed so women can feel encouraged to stay on in STEM. And it's a great situation. So all the best to all of you going forward.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everyone, for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sunidhi. Thank you, Devanshi. And thank you, Dr. Mila. Moving along, but not to make less of what we just saw, very, very interesting. A couple of years ago, I worked in Berlin, and a friend said to me, you have to come to this space that we're creating. If memory serves, she handed me a ladder, and we had to climb some kind of a tree, or it was a self-made place by a very interesting and wonderful group of people. That is my setup for our next panelist, who can better explain what I was experiencing by going there. I want to pass it now to Leli to talk about Heart of Code. Hi, Leli. Welcome. I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, I found my microphone. You see my screen? Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Hi, I am Leli from Heart of Code in Berlin. My pronouns are she, her. And as already mentioned, we are a hack space for women in Berlin, in Germany. And for those of you who are not familiar with hack spaces, it's like a physical space for tech enthusiastic people to meet, code, hang out, make stuff, tinker. And we are between 20 and 300 women. That's a huge range. What I mean by that is, like, we have a hard team, like a core team of 20 people, but a larger network of around 300 women. And they range from having a PhD in computer science to people who never coded before but are curious. So we have a very huge range. I think age-wise, the youngest ones have been around 16 and up to much older. And Heart of Code was founded in 2015 during a camp. And the idea was that most tech spaces, as you all know, are very male dominated. So there are other women in tech, but you mostly never see them. You maybe have one other woman at your local hackspace. And then there are these huge events in Germany where we have like a few thousand people in tech meeting. And there you see other women. And the idea was like, wow, there are other women. And why are we only seeing them once a year at these huge events? Let's make a space where we see them more often and throughout the year. So Heart of Code was born. At the beginning, we were supplanting. So in a other hack space, we were using their space every Thursday, so 1 day a week. We kicked all the boys out and had a woman-only space there. And that was great for the beginning, building a community, starting to get known, get more people and more people and more people. And soon it was not enough to have 1 day a week because we were too many people and had too many ideas. So now we come to the leather part Mark mentioned before. In 2017, we decided we are now big enough to get our own space. And what we found was this kind of treehouse thing. It was in the first floor without a staircase to enter it. So we built the ladder here to have like this entrance. Also, the space itself had to be renovated. So we got together and isolated it. And the cool thing about it is we used that as well as a time for learning and teaching. So a lot of us were comfortable with power tools, but a lot of women never used a drill in their life before. So we said, okay, we have to renovate this space. Let's make workshops out of it. So we had a drywall workshop, we had a sewing workshop, we had a how to drill, how to do electrics workshop. And by teaching people, we also got free labor and ended up with a nice, cozy, isolated space. And there we moved into in 2017. It was amazing. It was tiny, cozy, and the leather is not the most accessible. So in 2019, we moved to a different space with more than one window and also a staircase and even an elevator. So now we have less barriers of entry, which is great. But I also miss our teeny tiny tree ship because it was an adventure. Why do we want these hack spaces for women? As I mentioned, it's super important to connect with other women in tech because we are in a minority and most other hack spaces are very male dominated. And being amongst women gives us the opportunity to hack in peace, work on our stuff without being the girl, being hyper visible, being the one woman in the group, but just being one of many women in the group. And that is very, very comforting and nice. And also, we decided we want to make our space super, super welcoming and be open for people who have never touched tech before. So make a space as we want spaces to be. And that is a very cool opportunity. What are we doing at Heart of Code? So we have regular meetings where we have different topics. So depending, it's not all the weeks, but we have like Maker Mondays where we do more hardware stuff. Python Tuesdays where we have Python co-learning workshops, securities on Wednesdays, and Damen Saloon, which is our Thursday, where we usually just hang out and talk and support each other and meet new people. But we also have hack days where we spend a whole day working on projects together. We have Heart of Camps, which is like a week of holiday where we go out and live together somewhere outside of Berlin and hack in the wild. We also go to a lot of conferences together. And here you can see our dome, this wooden construct is like our tent we use for different outdoor events. And we also have a podcast now that is highlighting our journeys into tech, our experiences with tech. And the cool thing about podcasts is it's like accessible to a wider audience and people who are not where we are. And one of my favorite parts is that we also inspired other spaces. So around Germany and Austria, there are now around 10 different spaces that also have a women focus and held workshops and meetings for women in tech. And yeah, that is super amazing. Teeny tiny bit about my journey. I am a physicist by training, so I did study in a very male-dominated field. I always loved hack spaces, but I never really felt comfortable going there. So I think 12 years ago, I joined my first hack space for one night, and I was brought with a friend, and that was cool. And then I tried to go to other hack spaces on my own. And people looked up from their computer for 5 seconds and then looked back to their computers, and I never went back there. So for me, Heart of Code was a huge thing to be able to have a very welcoming space and be welcomed and part of the community, and not having to prove myself, but being awesome as I am, because all the others are awesome as they are, and we don't have to constantly prove what we're doing. I joined this community when asked for a soldering workshop. As you can see here, I'm super LED enthusiastic, so I am a huge maker, and I'm trying to make everything blink. And for me, Heart of Code was really life-changing. It offered me so many opportunities. It gave me such a huge network. I mean, being invited to speak here at this event would never have happened without this community of people, knowing people, and encouraging each other to go out, be visible, be there, and share with the community. And the learnings we had from our network, and also all the sister hack spaces, is, I think the most important part is building a community. Start by finding like-minded people, and then be visible on the important channels, if it's Twitter or Instagram. Make noise, find people who you don't know yet, because your network isn't as big as it can be. So be visible so people who don't know you yet could find you. And then set a date and see who comes. And if no one shows up, don't be discouraged. Set another date, make more noise, be more visible, and see who shows up. Finding rooms, and when there's not a pandemic, is ask other hack spaces, cool, universities. You can meet in cafes, in your living room. Like, does not have to be your own space from the beginning. And during COVID, it's even easier because you can just host online events and invite people. And never stop building community. Do workshops. With each workshop we've met new people. And we encourage people who haven't, like, a lot of times we meet people that tell us they know about us for 2 years and they were curious, but they never felt secure enough to join, which is very sad, because we try to be as welcoming as possible. So the more open the workshops are, the easier it is for people to approach you. And once they've been here one time, they feel more comfortable the second time around. And that is the biggest learning for me, like, be visible and be very, very open and welcoming. And then a super short plug. I'm currently doing an outreachy internship at Mozilla, and I just wanted to advertise it because outreachy offers paid remote internships for people who are underrepresented in tech. And it's working with open source projects, and the applications are open right now. So if you're over 18 and want to break into tech, it's amazing. Ping me, I will tell you all about it. So yes, thank you. And here's another picture of my dress, because why not? Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Leli. So great. Yeah, I had not seen this dress. It's great. I'll pass it right to Dr. Mitra.
Yeah, that was great. I really enjoyed seeing all those slides. And, that's one point you bring up, that as Sunidhi had mentioned earlier, that we have the perception that people in STEM are odd-looking men with glasses, but actually you can be anyone. And now that there are many more women involved, we have high fashion, we have quirkiness, and I love to see your LED dress. So there's nothing that says anymore that we have to be the same, give it the same kind of nerdy look that was representative of STEM earlier. So yes. I loved your idea of heart of coding, and you said that you all go and do a camp. So and you're with your own in a lovely environment, and you can all sit and code together. So my only question to you is, it sounds like such a great idea. So would you, as a physicist, or would you have ideas on how to take it to other areas of STEM, something like that? Because that sounds like a really great way to sit with some people and have some experts and train the people who are new, and also enjoy a vacationing or fun concept as you get away.
Yes, I did work in gender projects in physics, and I organized summer schools for students in physics. I think the big difference is that I know a lot of people who are very curious about coding, but haven't taken the career approach, and I haven't met that many people who have like a amateur interest in physics.
Right.
So the projects I did there are mostly evolved around people who already studied, encourage people who chose it as a career path, but I might be wrong, but like in code, I know so many people who come from a different
you are right, but that's why I was saying it might be a good idea to approach the people who are, who have even fewer women and who are even more resistant to getting into STEM. But that's a great idea.
We have more women in physics actually than in computer science, which is wild. But
right.
Yeah, but yes, there I did also do workshops for schoolgirls, encouraging them to physics. And we also formed networks, having FNTI meetups, so female, non-binary, trans, and inter meetups at universities. So I think one of the most important thing is like organize, find the other people in your group and organize and form clubs. So I'm doing that wherever I go.
Right. Yeah, it was great to see all the kinds of things you have done to connect with different women and take forward your hackathons or hacking workshops.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Lily. So great to hear some of the stories that I've heard over the years, but some that I have not. And yeah. Keeping going with the program, with a mind on time and enjoying all the voices that we can fit in today. I'm very excited to have our next panelist. We're going to talk, I'm going to let Chinmayi speak for herself, but also someone who I know very well and whose work has inspired me over the years. Not that this is about me, because it's not. But ladies and gentlemen, I'll pass it now to Chinmayi.
Thank you, Mark. It's so inspiring to see all these stories. Of course, I know of Heart of Code. I've known them for a few years, so it's so inspiring to see how they've gone from the single hacker space to now inspiring more hacker spaces. And I feel such a privilege to be in this platform, to be talking. I'm Chinmayi, and I'm a part of an organization called the Bachchao Project. So the Bachchao Project is an 8-year-old techno-feminist collective based in India. We primarily support women, LGBTQI, and gender diverse folks in their needs to mitigate gender-based violence and in their fight for gender rights. That's what we do. We were not always like this. We initially started out as a bunch of engineers getting together in a hackathon in 2012 to kind of find the solution to harassment for women and find something as a safety. How do you increase the safety of women? So with technology, because we were all engineers, we were all technologists, so we had to find a technical solution to mitigate gender-based violence. So that's how we started. And we built this app called Bachchao. And that's where the name the Bachchao Project comes in. We built an app, Bachchao, which was a panic button app. And we asked people to use it. It was at that time very popular because at that time, panic button apps were something of an fad in India, you would say. And a lot of people started using this app. So great. We were so happy that a bunch of us women technologists build this app, and people are finding it, or women are finding it useful, and they're feeling safe with the app. And we wanted to do more. We wanted to see how women and technologists and how we can support other women. So we started looking at other ways that we could build technology, because that was our focus at the very beginning, that we want to build technology that can help women, help mitigate gender-based violence. And we started working with a lot of nonprofit groups, trying to understand if we can build another technical platform, if we can help with their technical needs. We did help a few organizations by building certain technical platforms, like helping them set up like Ushahidi or a reporting platform or something of that sort. And we started working with them to understand where are the pinpoints in usage of technology, and like women find it useful to use technology. Are they feeling more safe with the usage of technology? And very soon we figured that technology is not the answer. It might be one of the tools, but it's not necessarily the answer to all these major societal problems. And then we started realizing that we as women, as LGBTQIA persons, will do best when we are able to provide our viewpoints, to support other women in providing their viewpoints into how technology and tools have to be modeled or built, and helping the existing tools and technology be built such that they are inclusive and they are usable by women and LGBTQIA persons. And that's where we came in. We became a bridge. We became a bridge between communities of women, communities of queer people, where they were looking at using technology in their day-to-day needs and feeling safe about it. They didn't want a new platform. All they wanted was whatever they had with technology, to use that and feel safer to fight for their rights. And we worked with tool makers and technologists to help them understand what this needs are, what basically, how do they build it, and how not to presume. Like we built a panic button app and thought probably this is a solution to everything. So there's a lot of learning we thought and we saw through our own efforts when we worked on these. In this journey, we learned that it's not just enough that we build technology or we support technologists, but also support women, not necessarily have a professional education in technology, but to be more familiar with the technology. Because especially when it comes to women, especially when it comes to queer people or people living in remote part of this country, there's always like this huge barrier between the usage of technology and their life. So they always think of technology to be the other thing than their life. So we wanted to make it a little bit more familiar for them. This also brought us to this understanding that if we want people to be familiar or friendly with the technology, we also have to look at like their imminent needs, sometimes even like highlight their needs. So we did a bunch of things. At that point, we formed a collective. So before that, it was just an organization, and then we turned into a collective. We realized that if we as a group are not understanding the feminist principles, we are not supporting each other, and we are not collaborating, or we are not looking at being allies, we are not going to go anywhere. So that's when we started being a collective. Slowly, we had a lot of wonderful people join us. We started doing a lot of activities at that point. So some of the things that we did was we trained technologists. We did training specifically for people to understand how do you do need finding, how do you design, how do you think about like who you want to onboard well-being technology. So these were women and LGBTQIA persons, and these were people from different ethnic minorities, from different castes and different communities. So that's something that we started doing. We started having these conversations. We also started talking to them about having an understanding of their culture and to make their spaces more inclusive. We found that as technologists, even like as women and technologists and as queer people and technologists, obviously we have seen years and in fact decades of marginalization, where we have seen a lot of communities where we were part of, where we were smaller in numbers, where our voices weren't heard, and we did not have the same opportunities as cis men technologists would have. So if we have to bring in more voices, they have to be heard. For them to be heard, we realize that we have to talk about culture. We realize that we have to talk about changing practices, like thinking about code of conduct, or thinking about the community health and how they can support people for different abilities, and how do they make their environments more conducive. So this is about giving up certain amount of privilege or using a privilege to make these changes possible. And that's such a hard thing to do. It's one of the hardest things to do, and that is something that we wanted to push towards. And that's something we also do with technical communities, where we talk to them about these are the changes that are necessary if you want to be truly inclusive. The other work that we did was also about like talk to technologists about, this is India, this is a big country. If you want to have people, women from different parts of the country, you have to be reachable to them, which means you have to have your tools in their languages. You have to go to them than expecting them to come to you. So we support the localization efforts of these tools. We also do a lot of research. So we conduct research in terms of like efficacy. So for example, when panic buttons were a rage, we did in 2016 and 17, when the Ministry of Women and Child were wanting to introduce this emergency buttons in buses, we did and research around panic buttons and the efficacy. We talked about like how each state had a panic button, and was it even useful for women, or was it actually infringing on their rights and privacy? That's one thing that we looked at. In the recent years, like in 2020, we looked at the COVID apps, which were looking at tracking people, which were looking at basically helping people monitor who are the COVID patients around, or like their own, help them record their own statuses. So we did a research on that to look at how they are useful or not useful for people, especially women, and how they are keeping up the rights of citizens or infringing upon them. So that's the kind of technology research work that we have definitely done. So that's one part of our work, but we also do support communities. We support communities in need finding as well. Sometimes we use technology for that. This is very rarely done. Like for example, in 2017 and 18, we did a Safe Goa project in Goa, where we used OpenStreetMaps, paper maps, to kind of figure out what are the areas in Goa that, like, what is the infrastructure needs of Goans, specifically when it comes to reducing street harassment. And this one, in fact, was one of the finalists of a gender award called Sandwich. And then we did something around, with tool usage trainings with a lot of women around the country. As a part of this, we also realized that there are certain needs of women and certain I would say, the voices of women when it comes to digital rights, which are never spoken about. For example, in 2018, we did an off-seasons and shutdowns research. This was around looking at how internet shutdowns affects the people, women in Manipur. So this was a pioneer in terms of research at looking at internet shutdowns and how they affect women in particular. Until then, internet shutdowns were spoken about from a general perspective and not thinking of how it affects women. So we were looking at how these technical issues, like the lack of internet, are actually a major part of not having inclusion for women from various parts of the country. So it's not, when we speak about women and inclusion, it's not just about like a part of an urban area in the country. It's about every part of the country. And we were looking at how women suffer with the lack of internet in this remote part of the country. We did a similar research in 2019 around Kashmir, when the internet was shut down in Kashmir, and then whitelist URLs were released in Kashmir, which were said to be a set of like URLs which people could access internet resources from. We looked at these URLs and looked at how it was a non-workable solution, because a lot of the URLs that were given were not working because they needed dependency URLs to work with. In this way, we saw that we as technologists and women had a lot of need there was a lot of need in terms of like technical understanding of devices, tools, and policies that only could be filled by women and queer people, because obviously this comes from lived experiences, and also ethnic minorities. Of course, if I'm from Bangalore, I wouldn't know what is happening in Manipur unless I am from Manipur and I have an idea of the socio-political issues. I have a lived experience. So inclusion does not just mean that women or queer persons and just like from an urban area, but it includes from every part of the country and every walk of the country. And that's what we try and support. We try and support people from these different parts of the country. We work with them and see what their needs are. We also do like support them with their own learning needs in their own places, rather than asking them to come to our places and look at their pace. Like all of them do not have to do like website building or like apps writing, but what they need is like certain trainings to just get onto the internet safely sometimes, or doing certain sort of reporting for their work. They have different needs, and meeting those needs is also equally important. Meeting needs of different people and not pushing our own propaganda is something that is very, very important. And we learned that very, very quickly. From then on, it's been that we've taken that as our path. We've taken that as our responsibility to support these voices and to also support them to learn and grow in these spheres. That's what we've done with the Bachchao project. My personal journey, I was an engineer from Nokia who was in one of their open source projects in 2009 and 2012. After that, I started my own company, which was, okay, so I am out of time, so I'm just gonna stop here, but I hope the takeaway from here is that it's not just important that we have our own careers, but we also support other people with their voices. Thank you.
Thank you, Chinmayi. And indeed, there is this aspect of just everyone telling their own story, even personal story, that I think we could fill a great time and conversation with, but I appreciate also that you brought your work first, but indeed your own experience is a big part of it. Dr. Mila, we're approaching the sort of end of our time, but we're very glad if people are still with us, and I'll invite Dr. Mila to perhaps question or comment.
Yeah, that was great, Chinmayi. It was you ended your journey saying, or you ended your presentation saying you started as an engineer, and you obviously have gone on to use engineering in so many socio-political fields. So that's absolutely great. And the only question, yes, like Dr. Simi Mishra also said, panic buttons are still relevant. So that's, you're obviously using engineering to help people. And my only question to you is, how do you identify such socio-political issues that you might be targeting? Because you said you have one in Assam and one in, so basically everywhere around India, especially in rural areas, have issues. So how do you identify the next one, and how do you tie it into a technological app or something that you could help them with?
So we don't have anything in Assam as of now. It's Manipur that we did research with.
Right.
So one of the things is we keep an active community. We have trainings as our support system. So we support a lot of gender-based NGOs which need this kind of support. So this is referred to as friends or like through our networks. So when we are having these trainings for them based on their needs, we have these stories coming out where we see that certain things need to be highlighted. And that's how we support those stories to be brought into light. Like we make a research report or a publication and we talk about it. Or even like build technology. Like we said, we try and build technology as the last approach because we feel like there's enough technology to work with. It just needs to be used and made with certain extra features or something like that. So yeah.
Right. No, that's...
The importance of community comes out over and over again today. And of course, there are many different kinds of community, but I see how that plays a major role. Thank you so much, Chinmayi.
Thank you.
I'll invite now Dr. Mila in our last minutes. You've been in the role of asking questions, but by all means, especially after all this, if there's what you'd like to share with our audience who are still hanging on, because I think everybody's really enjoyed today and also looked forward to hearing from you. By all means.
So I'm going to be brief and not, I was going to talk about the gap that all of us see in STEM, but I won't talk so much about that because a lot of you might know it. But let me just briefly guide you through. So you all sitting here know the issue that, women make up a very small percentage of the workforce, although many of them, so at each level we lose some women. There are primary and middle school, we have a lot. In high school, we maybe lose some who go on to humanities or other options. And then in colleges and universities, we lose some more. And then finally in workplaces, we have very few, we've lost a lot of women. So, and why do we need to pursue women? It's not just, it is to help women, but it's also the whole STEM workforce needs women for diversity, for, having a balanced input. So from the point of view of women, we need to give them equal opportunities. We need to get them better pay. And anybody in such fields will have a strong economic security, but because as we know, STEM jobs are mostly very well paying. And in fact, going into the future with smart homes and AI and so many things happening that will push STEM even more as part of our real world experience, we have to have more and more women who are tuned into to what the new kind of jobs are going to be in the next 10, 20 years. So what happens in India is that even for a lot of women right here who decided in high school that they want to go into science or STEM, education is a family decision. So they might say, oh no, something else is going to be easier for you. So you go into something else. And then economic factors, was there enough, finance to put you through high level education, which many STEM careers need. And there's conformity to social expectations, and the work environments are still male dominated, and there's a lack of role models. So in India, the government is trying to address some of these things. There are special incentive programs, and we all need to encourage women to participate in science Olympiads and such programs. Then science organizations should mentor women and create placement and internship opportunities for them, so that people like our friends Devanshi, Sunidhi, who are in uh, women's undergraduate engineering colleges, get special opportunities to intern. And a lot of women give it up as jobs because they don't have good childcare options. So again, workplaces should enable that and provide a good work climate. So nowadays we do see more role models. I've just pulled out a few, but they are very inspiring. uh, Definitely in the space program, you might have seen when Mangalyaan went, that there were so many women of ISRO that were very prominent. And of course we have Dr. Kiran Majumdar Shaw, chairperson of Biocon, who's very active in propagating STEM. Recently, Dr. Gagandeep Kang was the first Indian woman who's the fellow of the Royal Society. And for the first time, Dr. Annapurna Shastri was made the first woman president of the Indian Institute of Astrophysics. So these are just a few cases. So do be inspired. So talking about me, my journey, first I'll say the one line that when I was in middle school, I used to say, when people said, what do you want to be? I used to say, I want to be an astrophysicist, which is kind of ridiculous for a middle school kid to say, but I did say it. And then I went on to do exactly that. I did get a PhD in astronomy and astrophysics. So, I really was confident in what I'm doing. Of course, I faced the same kind of challenges all of you did, being one woman in a class of 30 boys, all that. But really, it didn't matter to me because I just saw them as other scientists and other colleagues. And I was just confident enough to do it. And yeah, so now, once, so I have worked at NASA. I've been, again, very privileged to be a part of a cosmic background explorer that went on to get the Nobel Prize in Physics. So it's also where you are at the right time and the right place. So now I'm doing more STEM education, and I'm with STEM and Space. That's an organization that tries to encourage students through space-related activities, but we try to bring in all kinds of topics. For example, right now we're doing binary bracelets for young kids, so that they understand the basics of coding, or how computers and satellites communicate. And we also are building rovers so you can get into the maker space, you can get into robotics and Arduinos. So we target all kinds of activities. And one of the things we find that in India, science is sometimes made very boring. They just make you do equations or solve something that's on the board. We try to make it exciting by doing hands-on. Even through this year of lockdown and pandemic, we've been doing all the activities online, but the kids copy us and do something hands-on. So they feel that they're not just reading a book, but they're actually doing something and applying their skills. So we do clubs. There are many schools that do regular 1 week activities with us. We do workshops, and we also do projects. And we did a amazing project where the students get access to data from telescopes, and these are school level people, and they use software to look for asteroids. And many of them have discovered asteroids through that. So we try to tie in with international organizations and bring them such projects. So I'll just show you some slides of all kinds of, we've done a lot of special programs in girls' schools. And there's me, because I also believe in getting down and dirty and sitting with the kids and doing it. Okay, so recently I was, I'm also, for all of you, you're learning that outreach and networking is part of how you project yourself. And recently we've been conducting programs in Dubai. And from that, I was invited to actually be part of the TV panel for representing the UAE Mars mission that recently joined the orbit of Mars. So here's my advice to all of you and to all the young girls who want to go into STEM. Support other women and girls. Be confident and don't let anyone put you down, because you know that you can do it. And network, reach out and build your support system and build people you can connect with, because they're the ones who lead you to the next internship or the next job or the next skills. And use social media. And another thing I find that, earlier they used to say people are left-brained or right-brained. And I, for one, I'm not left-brained or right-brained. I love, as some of my friends know, I also love dancing, I love art. So I like to combine these skills and bring in art or dancing as a way to propagate STEM. So if that's what a lot of us women are good at, we should use that aspect too and bring in different dimensions to STEM. And we need to build up skills and learning all the time. We should never quit. And you can shoot for the stars. So, and I welcome you to reach out to our company. So all of you are doing Girls Up. So please connect with me sometime and we can perhaps help you do a kids workshop that will help you bring outreach to the kind of groups that you are trying to target. So with that,
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mila Mitra. Really a pleasure. And yeah, a lot to think about and also to celebrate. I want to thank everybody. I'm saying this because I see the time, and we've managed to address questions in the flow of the sessions today. I'm saying that because I saw it, but I also hope that we covered a lot of the questions you have in your mind. I do invite everyone back in 2 weeks' time for our next session. You'll get information about it, but I'm really glad to everyone who could join us. Certainly want to thank Dr. Mitra for being our expert today, and to all of our panelists. I can see some of you in the panel of cameras above me. So great to hear from you and see you. And to all the participants, thank you. Thanks for sharing your Friday with us, or with this group. And until next time, I wish you all a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to it. Bye.